Seches Bava Metzia, Daf Memvav Amud Aleph. Okay, Memvav Amud Aleph, and we are in the middle of a very hot discussion, heated discussion about. It seems to be about Ribbis, but really the big picture is about chalifin. What's the Kenyan called chalifin or chalifin? By the way, you should know that every day on YouTube, I summarize the Shiur. So those of you who want to get like not a very good summary, but somewhat of a summary, even if you don't listen to the Shiur online, you can still read the summary as the title of the Shiur, and I try to invest there too, just for your information. 45 people are subscribed to the channel. 45 people. Baruch Hashem. Okay, including a Muslim and whatever, all kinds of people. Fine. Welcome everybody. Marhaba. Anyway, so I don't think everyone watches everything every day, but I'm saying anyway, let's get going. We are recorded. Let's go. So we are discussing now Kinyan Chalipin. Kinyan Chalipin means when a person takes the item, a symbolic item belonging to his friend, in order to sell the friend something, or let's say I want to buy Tzvi's motorbike, so I give Tzvi my shoe. Yeah, sorry, but that's the example in the Torah. Or I give Tzvi any kind of item that it's kli. Nobody argues on that. I give you a kli, a jug, a pitcher, something, a kli, a phone. Yeah, you can even return it to me afterwards, by the way. But once it was given to you symbolically, automatically your motorcycle is mine. Of course, after agreement, after verbal agreement, and of course I have to pay for it. I'll have to pay for it, priceless. Okay, I'll have to pay for it. Yeah, we say there $10,000, and that's about it. Now the question was matbea. There were two questions. Matbea is a strange thing because matbea does have intrinsic value. It has value as long as the government decided it has value, and that puts it in a bit of a disadvantage, right? And therefore, there are opinions that say, and we seem to be more and more leading to that direction, saying the matbea cannot be the catalyst, the item that creates the chalipin, like the shoe of Boaz in the Tanach. Matbea cannot be that. And now we're trying even to say that matbeas are not being bought with chalifin, right? That's taking it one step further. Not only matbea cannot create chalifin, we want to say that, let's say I want to buy from you dollars. I'm going to America and I want to go to Canada, a bit less common, whatever, and I want to buy Canadian dollars from you. I have Canadian dollars, very nice. So I'm going to give you my shoe in order to buy your 1,000 Canadian dollars. Does that work? Maybe yes, maybe no. We are geared towards saying no, and we saw a brisa about a guy who is in the field and he's not naked, obviously has what to wear, the whole story. And we're trying to say more and more, we're leaning towards saying that matbea is not being bought with chalifin even. Now came a question, and I'll restart from Eseve. Eseve bi'aba le'ula. We did that before, but we stopped in the middle, so I'll restart here. Eseve bi'aba le'ula. Ula was one of the many people who said that matbea cannot be acquired with chalipin, through chalipin. Says Rabbi Abba to Ula, listen to this brisa. Eseve is always a question from a brisa, from Mishnah. A person walking down the street, and he's now accosted by who? By his poilim, by his workers or his donkey drivers who claim, pay us our salary. The Omar l'shulchani, he's pressed to pay them now. He tells the guy who always has cash, the banker, the money changer, tenli bedina mo'is v'afanesem. Let me, please, give me now dinar. Give me 1 dinar, which is 1 silver coin. Now, bedina mo'is, bedina mo'is, give me mo'is worth of dinar, which means, let's say, how many mo'is said in dinar? 264? 462. So give me 462. What's the names? The prutois, the copper ones, worth a dinar. Yeah, and don't worry, I'll give you v'afarnes them. I'll pay them and get them off my back and be mefarnes them. Actually, mekam mitzvah d'oraisa. Yomi titan schoroi. V'ani el chayof dinar v'treisis. Later on, I'll give you back a yofed dinar, which we now think means what? A dinar worth of money, v'treisis, but I won't give you the same amount. I'll give you an additional treisis, which is an additional small coin, from the money I have in my house. Basically, give me now worth of dinar. I'll give you back dinar plus traces. So obviously, everyone's screaming in the top of the voices. That's called ribbit. So how can you give ribbis? Continues the brisa. If the one who sort of borrowed the money, it's not so clear that it's borrowing, the one who took the money from the shulchani in order to pay his workers, if he at the moment of the so-called loan, when he got it from the money changer, he now has money in his house. Yeah, it's not accessible because his house is 10 kilometers away. But Lamais, if he has money in his house, then it's okay. Then it's fine. Then it's not a problem. Bimlav also. But if he doesn't have the money in his house, then it's also. Who cares if he has money in his house or not? So now, yeah, the idea is what? Chalifin. It's not halva. It's not halva. In other words, yeah, halva beribis is also. Who cares if he has the money or not? It's ribis. But yeah, if it's kinin chalifin, very good. Give me your money now. Yeah, and the money that's in my house now is right away yours. Take your motorcycle and drive there and get it. It's not halva. I'm buying money for money. I am buying X for X plus 1. So what? I'm allowed to overprice as long as both sides agree and it's less than a 6. What's the problem? If both sides agree, by the way, then it's not about overpricing. If somebody really, really likes someone's car and he's willing, knowingly, pays instead of, I don't know, 200,000, he pays $1 million, that's fine. So the Maisa, there's no issue. It's not Ribbis. He bought it. So how did he buy it? With chalifin. So here we are. You're stuck now. You, Ula, who said that Metbea is not acquired by chalifin. Here must be Metbea was acquired by chalifin. As the Gemara gives the punchline now, if you want to tell me, you, Ula, and all your friends, you tell me, Ein Metbea nasa chalifin. If you say that Metbea does not become chalifin, meaning the Metbea cannot be the chalifin, excuse me, I said acquired by chalifin, it's both sides really. Here the Gemara stresses the first side, and Metbea nasa chalifin. You're telling me that Metbea cannot create a chalifin, cannot be the first item to be given, like the shoe. If so, havila alva. What's the other option? If you say that chalifin doesn't work, then what is it? By default, that's alva. You can call it all kinds of nice names, politically correct, but at the end of the day, if there is no kinyan of chalifin here, the other way is, well, if you get money now and pay later, then in my book, that's called the dirty word, Loan, with ribbis. So then, how come that's mutter? Ishtik. Ula was so stumped that he kept quiet, really didn't know what to say. Now, that's where we finished off yesterday. Omar Lay, now Rabbi Abba, who asked the question and challenged Ula, is now offering Ula an answer, like a farher. Now you go to Rebbe for farher. He's asking you a question, you don't know what to say, then the Rebbe offers the answer, right? Omar Lay, so now who is he? The one who asked the question, Rabbi Abba, is approaching Ula. Dilma, maybe, maybe we talk about both sides, both money given and money that will be given back. Both of them are not prutois, but putotois. What's putotois? It's like the asimon version of copper, which means we mentioned the item called asimon, which Tzvi remembers from many years ago in Israel. Yeah, asimon means what? Asimon means a silver coin before it was minted. So it's basically like blank, like you have it in slot machines, like in blank token. Token is really the name for a simon. That's a proper like a token, right? So they don't have value as what? They don't have value in the bank. They're like basically raw pieces of silver. Frutotos are the same thing. Elamai, they are from copper. Frutotos are the copper version. Bekitzer, those things, continues the Gemara, Deleka ala yutiva. They don't have anything minted on them. It's just blank. It's a token, like in the slot machine games of the children. So what? Ve'idi pera havu umishum hachi nichnu b'chalifin. Very good. In other words, you tell me, how would you define a raw piece, or not completely raw, just like a coin that has no value in the bank? It's a piece of metal. What is it? Is it a kli? No. Is it a whatchamacallit? Is it matbea? No, it's not a matbea yet. It will be. It's An object is an object is a big word in English. Yeah, this is here. English doesn't always work. In halacha, it's called peri. Peri doesn't only means grapes or lemons. Peri means items that are not kelim. We'll see later. Animals, for example. An animal is not a kli, and therefore dog owners are not allowed to pick up the dogs on Shabbos because the dog is not a kli, a cow is not a kli, and the peri and the coin that's not yet a coin is not a kli. It's just a raw piece. And therefore, what? Very good. If you tell me that the story over here talks about a raw piece, just a blank piece of metal, mimela, of course, it can be acquired. How? It can be acquired by chalifin. It's actually a machloekes whether it can be acquired by chalifin, only a kli, but it's definitely not money. It's not money. In other words, really the kinyan is kinyan chalifin. That's what you can answer, Ula, says Rabbi Abba. We said that money cannot be acquired by chalifin. It's not money. It will be money when it grows up. It'll be a big boy. Right now, it's not money. It's just a piece of metal. No problem. You can coin that by chalifin, according to some opinions we'll see later on. Omerle, Ula was excited by the answer and agrees to the answer. And it says, yes, very good. And Dai Kanami, what you're telling me now actually is meduyak, is we can derive it from the words of the Brisa. The Ktani, if you listen carefully to the words of the Brisa, it says, Yofe dinar v'treisin. It doesn't say dinar, it says yofe dinar. Something else that is worth a dinar, but is not really a dinar or any kind of money. It's something which is worth dinar. Tani dinar yofe v'treisis. It doesn't say, I'll give you a shein dinar, I'll give you a good dinar and a traces. I'll give you something that's not money, that is worth money. What is something that is not money but worth money? Well, many things. In this case, it's frutotois. These are pieces of silver, or actually, these, in case the pieces of copper that are not called money. Shmamino. So far, so good. So you got out of trouble. So again, back to let's just summarize. Let's regroup again. So what are we saying? Really, could very well be that all these Amoraim are right. And money cannot acquire or be acquired with what? With chalifin. Elamai, in this case, it's not money. Not every pruta is money. Some prutas are, in the prehistoric stage where they're not even called money, and that's where they can be swapped. Of course, it's not so, of course, but some people would say that even items that are not a kli and not a matbea, like fruit, animals, stones and sticks. Yeah, let's say stone is a nice stone. Really, you found a nice, good-looking stone in the park. It's not a kli, right? Yeah, door stopper, maybe. I don't know, not a kli. Mimela what? Mimela, even those things can be nikna b'chalipin, but it's not our issue. It's not matbea. Rav Ashi Omar. Now, Rav Ashi Omar something else. Rav Ashi is giving us a very, very beautiful shticky answer. Le'olam bedomim ubeputatois, which means, really, bedomim. You could really say that even if there was real money involved, there is no issue of ribbis here, and we're going to explain why. Ubeputatois, which means it's true that this case happens to be talking about prutotois, about those early raw coins, right? It's true because that's a lotion of the Brisa. However, we could say that even if this was money, listen carefully, even if we're talking about real money, had we spoken about money, it's good. And even if money is not nikne b'chlipin, it's good. And really, there's still no issue of ribbis. How could that be? It's money, yeah? It's not a regular kinyan chlipin. And nevertheless, it's like a loan, but there's no problem. How come there's no problem? Yeah, what do you mean? He's telling, give me dinar, and I'll give you back later dinar plus what? Plus something, and that's okay, providing that in my house, at the time of the loan, I have that amount of money. What's that? We actually saw that in briefly a few days ago. Says the Gemara, and this is a small and very nice chart, came in the Islay, because he has money in his house, the borrower, Nasa Keomer, it's considered as if he said, Halveni ad bni or ad mafteach. Lend me until my son comes or until I find the key. Let me reintroduce to you the story that we saw a few days ago, and we're going to see again. Yeah, I'm going to make it more visible for the Zoom people. We had a case called, and we'll see it again, Sa Beso. Sa Beso means what? Remember that? Sa Beso is usher to lend someone, yeah, so beso, you lend, the lotion is lending, yeah, you lend someone, and what do you lend? You lend someone potatoes, tomatoes, grains, not money, not money. You lend him what? Could be grain or any of significant amount of money. You're not allowed to do that. Don't say I'm lending you, I don't know, a whole ton of grains and give him back an amount of ton of grains. Why not? It may go up in price. It may go up in price, right? Okay, but then the amount was the same amount. Yeah, amount is the same amount. In other words, I'm giving you 1 ton. Yeah, same amount. I'm giving you, yeah, the same amount, and I expect back the same amount. So what's the problem? It may go up in price. Maybe when I give it to you now, it's worth how much? 10,000 shekels, right? And when, I don't know, 100,000 shekels, when you'll give it back to me, it may possibly be more than 100,000. It's the same item, but worth more. B'derabbanon, and only b'derabbanon, that's considered ribbis. Okay? Ribbis derabbanon. Okay. Now, what are we talking about over here? We want to compare the case, our case to that case. Now, Taisus is asking, how do you compare that? How do you compare that? In other words, over there we said, excuse me, no, before our comparison. No, in this case, when am I allowed to lend my friend a whole ton of grains? When he has grains in his granary. Why? Because if he has grains in his granary, then Rabbanon will not goes there. Rabbanon said, in this case, if I lend you potato or whatever, grains of ton of grains, and you already have tons of grains by you, and I know I can rely on it, then your ton of grains kilo already belongs to me. And when it got more expensive, it kilo got more expensive in my reshus. Yeah, in my ownership. Again, if I lend my friend a whole ton of grains, and the chashash is, maybe when I'll get it back from him, it'll be worth something plus inflation, that's a problem. But if he has a ton of grains already in his granary, when I lend him, then I know that granary, that thing by him, ad she'emtza mafteach, I can't find the key. I know that once he finds the key, he's just strapped for it. He's just stuck with other grains and he needs to sell them down the market. I come and I save the day. But I know and I trust him that he has grains. I saw the camera. He has grains in his granary that are just not accessible temporarily until his son comes, until the key comes. Mimela, when it's there in the granary, it already belongs to who? To the lender. And Mimela, when it got expensive, it's not that I got more expensive. It was mine right from the start, me, the lender, and it got expensive in my domain. So that it's okay. It's not called ribbis. That's what we said over there. Over here, we want to say the same thing. And we say the same thing over here. Because when I borrow from you, I borrowed how much? 1 dinar worth of money. And I tell you, don't worry, I'll give you a bit. Now I'm really stuck with these, with my workers facing me, but I will pay you back another dinar, Bezos Hashem, soon, plus an extra thing traces. Why is that allowed? That's allowed because if the money is in my house, it's as if the money was always yours. Question? But I hope you asked my question. We're very much in the middle of. I'm not sure I'll answer your question.
Borrows money to pay his workers. He said the operative word being money changer. Now, a money changer makes money by giving money. Now, if he gives him X amount of money and he must arrange to get X amount plus coming back, it's the money changer.
Fine. Okay, but kids are, let's just, I think we're asking the same question. Frek Toisfus, what are you talking about? Over there, Beso was the same amount. Can you read backwards? People in Zoom. Same amount. Inflation to inflation. Lamaisa, same amount is not so ribizdik. Over here, what's the story in our case? The case of the frutos, the case over here is what? It's not the same amount. They outright say more. Right? They say, yeah, you give me now, Mr. Money Changer, dinar, I'll give you dinar plus. Excuse me. How can you say that here, yeah, because it's in my house, it doesn't grow on a tree, the extra pruta, the extra money you give him is still extra. How can you compare? Answer Tosis beautifully. Answer Tosis, no. By here, there was no lending, it was a sale. Why? Because it's not exactly the same type of money. Because he lent him what didn't lend him. It's kilo sale. He told him, give me X amount of money. and I'll give you back different kind of money of the same value, says Tosfos. Mimela, why did they make a chart? Each one is a pro and a con. Very, very nice. Here, lending is a minus. To use the word lending is dirty when it comes to Ribbis. But the plus is, I'm making a plus like an Israeli, the plus is what? The good point is that it's the same amount. Here you have a minus that it's more, and a chinami. But the plus is that it's a sale. So at the end of the day, each one has a mile and a chisaron. Each one has a pro and a con. But it's just like this one with the Rabbanon. If it's in the house, they allowed it. Here too, Rabbanon allowed it. Beautiful. So you're right, Ellen. He is asking for more money. But because it's not done in the way of a loan, it's done in the way of mekach umemkar. Mekach umemkar is always better for Ribbis, right? Ribbis has two dirty words, two bad things. Lending for more money. But in these cases, right? Yeah, none of them has both chesronis. This is lending, which is bad, but it's for the same amount, which may grow, may not. And this one is a sale, which is good because he's not borrowing. I'm buying the money off you now, like a money changer. He's not a bank, he's a money changer. I'm buying the money, and I'll give you back the money plus, which is okay. Why is it okay to give the money plus? Because it's a sale. It's a sale, and for me, it's worth more. It's like I'm buying an item for more money. And if I have the money in my house, then Rabbanu will not go there. Because having the money in my house means it's not a real loan. I'm not stuck for nothing. The money in my house is kilo yours. The money plus that's in my house is already yours right now. Yeah, be'etzem. Okay? Okay, fine. Okay, questions, and then we start today's so yeah. No. I'm answering a question. No, it's not chalifin. No. We want to say it's not chalifin because we do support Ula and all his friends, Ravasi and everybody who said that most are not nikne b'chalifin. The reason why this works, even though it's not chalifin, it's between a loan and a sale. It says Tosfos, let's read Tosfos inside a second and I'll get to Ellen. Tosfos nasa koimer loy halveni. Yeah, Tosfos were between the narrow lines and the wide lines. V'im toimer, nehide shari so beso al shova bni so besatayim. One for one is okay, says Tosfos. But when you add more money in the original agreement, ki hochel over here, shenosen lo traces yoiser oslo, it's oslo. The hadi Ribbis gomu, it's complete Ribbis. It's outright Ribbis. Oy vavoy. The Yesh Shloimer answer Tosfos. Listen to this, Yaakov. The hacha here ain't a noisen lo oitham matbeh atzma shalokach. It doesn't give him exactly the same matbeh that he took, right? Elamin acher. It's a different type of coin. Yeah. In other words, maybe this prutus from that, prutus from the other. The dami lemekach umemkar. These are the words I was looking for. It's a loan that looks like a sale. In other words, it's as if I'm selling it to you. I'm buying. I'm not really buying because otherwise it would be chalifin. We're not saying chalifin. Chalifin would be great. That's mamish nothing to do with halva. This is a halva that looks more like a mekach umemkar, and that's where Rabbanan will not go there. In the case we're in his house. Continues Tosfos, Rabbi Simkin will be happy. The Achikama says Tosfos. This is what the Gemara says. Just like to lend one saw for one saw, same amount. Be'oimer ad shovabni mishum the saw besaw. Ribbis the Rabbanon get too excited because says saw is only the Rabbanon, right? In other words, if the money is safe in my house, it's ki'ilu already given back to him. That's how Rabbanon viewed it. So Rabbanon were meiko. Achinami, same thing over here. Achinami derech mekach umemkar afilu serba sotayim mutar b'ememni. Just like I showed you over here, because it's mekach umemkar, looks like a sale. It has more of a feel of a sale. It's not a regular loan because it's different type of money. Even though he'll get more, there's a plus and a minus in each one. So at the end of the day, they're balanced, and both of them are the Rabbanon. Rabbanon said, if you have the money in your house, it's not as bad. I remember also I don't know lochel mais in Ribbis, but there is such a thing. In Machim they say that if you have some money by you, then it's not as bad the Ribbis in certain cases. That'll be the very last question for now because we have a big workload in front of us. Baruch Hashem. Toshma, yes, questions. Toshma. So we're still discussing whether yes or no money can play a role both ways in chalifin. Toshma, come here. We may use the whiteboard again. Toshma, kol nasa. This is a Mishnah in Kiddushin which is a very funny sounding Mishnah. It doesn't really give you a clear message. And this Mishnah, really, I'm telling you now, will have two ways of interpretation. Will be two ways to interpret the Mishnah, each one going a different direction. The Mishnah says as follows: it's open to interpretation. Kol nasa domim be'acher, anything that's nasa domim be'acher, anything that serves as money for something else. Okay, kevan shezochazeh. Once one side, one party gets that thing, which is like money, nischayv zeh bechalipin. The other party already is mischayev, and mischayev bechalipin pashtus means that the chalipin kinyan was done. We seem to be talking here about what? Money, right? Something was given, and then there's this chayvus, there's an obligation, meaning I would say the kinyan was done, kinyan chalipin works. So let's try and grow up in the dark here. So what are we saying? Says the Gemara now tries to explain the Mishnah. What is that thing that is worth money vis-a-vis something else? Matbea. What's the common thing to be used as? Halachically, matbea should not be used to acquire metaltalin. We know. But matbea is something used to give the value when you really owe the money, when you would pay the debt. Otherwise, ishmamino. And it stands from our Mishnah, matbea nasa chalipin. If you read the Mishnah without much philosophy, kol nasa domim b'acher means something that is given as domim for something else. In other words, that's money. What do you say? Once Reuven got it, and Reuven has a motorcycle, the motorcycle belongs to Shimon, the buyer. Okay. So, matbea nasa chalipin, that's not okay at all. There were many opinions who said otherwise, right? They said that matbea cannot be the cause of chalipin, cannot be like the shoe. Says Rav Yehuda, no. That's what the Mishnah says. Bil means a different definition to the beginning of the Mishnah. Kol nishoim domim be'acher, anything that is nishoim lashum and not lasum, by the way. Israelis also make that mistake often. What does lashum mean? Or shumat mekarkein. To assess, I'm impressed with the Hebrew, seriously. Yeah, I'm assessing anisham. Anything that's nisham domim be'acher, which means any item. Let's say I want to buy your hat, yeah, and I say I'm going to pay for your hat 500 shekels. I don't have 500 shekels cash. Let's say, listen, I'll give you my phone. You say your phone is worth 500, or let's go to professional assessor to see if the phone is worth 500. Oh, so really, that's nisham, and really they'll figure out, no, it's not 500. That's besides the point. Call a nisham domim be'acher. Anything that if you want to swap, not as chalipin necessarily, you want to pay money through non-money, through items, then you have to assess it. In other words, we're talking here about items, metaltalin, objects, as Ellen said. Kevan shezochazeh, nischayv zeh bechalipin. Once one person pulled them, then the other one is already chayiv bechalipin, is mechuyev to him. What does that mean? Chayiv also means something else. I have to tell you, I'm really hiding information from you. Chayiv also means, Rashi says throughout, if let's say Reuven wants to buy Shimon's cow, yeah, okay, Reuven wants to buy Shimon's cow. Reuven gives him something worth money, not cash. Gives him something that should be assessed. My cow is worth 5,000 shekels. Says giving him something assessed for 5,000, yeah, okay. Let's say that's the real chalifin. Then nischayev. What's nischayev? What happens if the cow dies? I'm answering a question from yesterday. What happens if a minute after the kinyan, the cow dies for whichever reason? Yeah. Does Reuven, the original owner, have to provide him a new cow? No. Very good. Quick and good. You draw. Very good. In other words, he owns the cow. I may be your shomer, and most probably I'm not the shomer. Yeah. The one who still stores it, the original owner, who's the seller, who's just storing it in his house, doing you a favor. Yeah. Or maybe he's getting money, but let's it's honest, yeah, then really there's not chayiv. I'm not chayiv anything. You are the owner. The second I got the item, the shoe, the box, the whatever, then what? You are the owner of the cow, and you are chayiv and achrayis of your own cow. That's what we say here. You may ask, what's the chiddush? Basically, the Mishnah is telling me that kinyan chalifin works. Well, we know that also from our Mishnah. Says Rashi, the chiddush is, and now we'll say it is a chiddush. The word object, Ellen, is too general for Hebrew. In Hebrew, we have kelim, utensils, tools, and non-kelim. Some objects are not kelim, as I told you before. Animals are not kelim. such as a dog or a cat, are not allowed to be moved on Shabbos. Yeah, and I don't know, flowers are not kelim. I'm not saying they're muktzah. They could be decorative. Different question. I'm not learning hilchas muktzah now. Yeah, or stones, sticks, things. They may be nice and even valuable, but they're not a kli. They're not utensil manufactured in China in order for you to do something with, right? And the chiddush is, our Mishnah says that chalipin, although they're not like the biblical shoe of Boaz, they're still considered as a chalipin item, which later on we'll see is a huge machloikus. That's so. Anything that can be worth money, which is not a kli, yeah, a diamond is not a kli either, it's not a kli, possibly, yeah. Mimela what? Anything can be used as a metaltalin item, as a chalipin item. Hachinami mistabra. It makes sense. By the way, we have two ways of reading the Mishnah. We did not completely. I'm doing you a favor now to make it easier for you. You shouldn't go through what I went through. You should keep in mind from now, open two boxes and make your own chart. Maybe I'll make one here. There are two ways of learning the Mishnah. One way of learning the Mishnah is that we are talking here about money. And we are saying the money becomes chalipin, okay? Like we said before. Now we're saying it optional, another option saying no. The Mishnah didn't talk about money. Money cannot be chalipin, treif. Items can be chalipin, even if they're not kelim. Yeah, for example, animals. Yeah. And now, hachinami mistabra. And I will prove my point that here we're talking about non-money, which is not kelim. And look, makes a lot of sense. Read on. With the Ktani Seifa, if you read the second part of the same Mishnah, you'll see that I'm right. Ketzad. What does the word ketzad mean in the middle of a Mishnah? Anybody can teach me some Hebrew? Okay. In the middle of Mishnah, how so means what? My English is not that bad. But when ketzad is in the middle of a Mishnah means how so, meaning how, give me a practical example of what I just told you. An example. Ketzad is like saying in English an example. Oh, so now we're going to see an example for the rule given in the Reisha. Ketzad, hichlif sho beporo. An ox for a cow. A chamor b'sho. Or a chamor, a donkey in a shor. Shma mino, clearly. You see, we're not talking about money. We spoke about switching, swapping what? Animals. Animals are not money. Yeah, what are they? A non-keli, not money. Very good. Shma mino. Wow, that's a whopping proof to the opinion that says what? That really our Mishnah does not talk about money. It talks about items, even items that are not a keli, such as animals. Look, it says outright, animals. The Gemara, the Gemara now takes us back one step backwards. According to according to what we thought originally, matbeya, we originally thought, and by the way, we didn't completely leave that thought. According to the first interpretation of the Mishnah, that the Mishnah is telling me that money, matbeya, coins, can be chalipin, my ketzad, then how can you explain the ketzad? It's chalk and cheese. Yeah, the Mishnah started talking about money, and then says, "How so? How so?" I like the English. How so? Cows and bulls. What? He's like, I'm telling you. We are in North Korea. For example, my grandma, Makesha, you're not connected. Hachikama explains the Gemara. This is what it says: Uperi nami avdi chalipin, which means the Mishnah is telling you a general rule about both money and peiros. It's coming to tell you all metaltalin, even though they're not clean. You have to realize there's a lot of politics later on whether chalipin only works with kli manufactured in a factory, shoe, cup, pen, only that, yeah, something you're allowed to touch on Shabbos, even pen, whatever, and or what? Or there are those who say any mobile thing, yeah, okay. Now we're coming. This is the party that comes and tells you money, right? And all other items that are not even a kli, all of those are included in one big party called the non-keli. Ketzad, how so? Ichlif shor beporo or chamor b'shor. Yeah, Masha Rashi says more. Lemaisa Rashi also wants to tell us. Rashi says also that he explains what's chalipin. In other words, the Mishnah and the Sefer explains what is chalipin really. In the Reisha, we said, you know what's chalipin? Money works with chalipin. The Mishnah, the Sefer says, what's chalipin? I don't know what chalipin is. To explain chalipin means swapping. And by the way, we're marviach, we gain that the examples given in the Mishnah are dafka, money and animals, to tell me not only kelim. Okay, fine. So now we are two ways So we have two ways of explaining the Mishnah. Everything will be very, very clear if you just listen to each and every stage. Stage number one, the Mishnah either talks in the ratio of the Mishnah, it either talks about money. Money can be chalipin both ways, right? Okay. And ketzad and also animals, right? Or there's another way of saying no. The Mishnah never spoke about money. The Mishnah spoke about animals, about stones and sticks, holshik and kalim. That's it. Okay. Now the Sefer clearly talks about animals. Of course, animals can also be chalipin. All very nice. Frag the Gemara. Okay, so far so good. Frag the Gemara. Now we get to the real deal over here. This is all very nice. Hanicha. This is good and nice and dandy and fine and good. Rav Sheshes. We're going to see machlokes Rav Sheshes and Rav Nachman. The Omar. What did Rav Sheshes say? Peri avdi chalipin. Rav Sheshes says as follows. Although the Torah, the Ksuvim mention a shoe as an example of what Boaz did, and we all know the Nevi'im are not telling us chas v'shalom fairy tales, they're all exact. Nevertheless, says Rav Sheshes, because later on it says, kol dovo, lekayim kol dovo, what kol dovo? Anything. The pasuk comes to include not only shoe, but anything. So why did we pick shoe? To tell us a whole thing and not half a thing. You can't do half a tomato, half a shoe, half a thing. It has to be complete. But the Meister of Sheshes believes one clear thing. Any item can be, I'm not talking about money now. We're not talking about money. Leave money alone. Leave money alone in the corner now. The issue now is, Rav Sheshes believes that peri, even non-kelim, can also create chalipin. So the Mishnah now, hey, that's my man. Rav Sheshes is very good with the Mishnah. In fact, that's what the Mishnah just said. You switch para b'chamor, right? They're not kelim, they're animals. They have a personality of their own. So they're not kelim. And therefore what? And therefore Rav Sheshes is very happy now. Look, the Mishnah is like me. They're non-kelim, and they can be served as what? As the chalipin business. I just want to point out something very interesting. Yeah. Some Rishonim, I'm not going to Tosfos now. Tosfos is also shtickle in that direction. They say that a cow and a donkey are kelim because you work with them. It's true they're not manufactured in China or Taiwan, but still they're kelim manufactured by Hashem, because they're served as working animals. How do you plow your field? With oxen. That's what we do, right? The pets are not kelim, because the dog is not meant for a specific purpose to work. It's being that people like to frolic around, yeah. But the big animals are not kelim. If so, how does Tosfos explain the Mishnah? Unbelievable. Tosfos says, another Rishonim, that the version here is basar is meat, bisarsho. Yeah, the steak. No, stop having the image of an ox working in the field and think of your next visit to Entrecôte in Yerushalayim, to the butcher. That ox, we're talking oxtail soup, yeah? That's what we're talking about over here, yeah? And that's for sure not a kli, because food is not a kli, right? Okay, that's just an aside, okay? Now, Ella, here comes the big question. The Rav Nachman, the Omar, kli'in, aval peri, loy avdi chalipin. According to Rav Nachman, who argued with Rav Sheshes, and what did he say? That a kli, only kelim, whatever that means, a real utensil used by human beings for a specific person, for a purpose. They make chalipin like what? Like Boaz's shoe. They make chalipin. Well, peri lo yavdi chalipin. Rav Nachman believes peri don't make chalipin. My ketzad, excuse me. How can he learn the Mishnah? The Mishnah spoke about an ox and a cow, an ox and a donkey, which are not kelim, or steak versus your whatever, yeah, versus your motorcycle, yeah. This big fancy steak for your motorcycle, okay. So then, okay, I'm trying. Then what? My ketzad. How can Rav Nachman, who's an Amora, live with the Mishnah? The Mishnah clearly said, right? Chalipin are what? Chalipin are do work with something that's not a kli, but an animal or piece of meat. How can Rav Nachman live with that? Answers the Gemara, Hachikoma. According to Rav Nachman, this is how we have to learn the Mishnah. Like this. Yesh domim shen kechalipin, which means the Reisha spoke about chalipin, right? Now comes the Sefer and tells me there are other cases in which we don't, Rashi says that sometimes domim work without meshicha like chalipin, which means have in mind now three options. Three options. Some things can be bought with money. You tell me, people, can regular items halachically, stam metaltalin, cups, shoes, socks, computers, can they be acquired by money? I give you money. Am I the owner? No. I love you. And not, but he works for karka, he works for a woman, works for other things. Now, another kinyan is meshicha. I pulled your motorcycle, I pulled the thing, right? Now you owe me money, but that's a kinyan is done, right? That's number two. It's time good to do chazorah. Now the third one is chalifin. I pulled your item, then the other item is completely mine, not owed to me, is mine. Comes now that this opinion, Rav Nachman explains the Mishnah as follows: Yesh domim shen ki chalipin. In other words, both the Reisha and the Seifa, both of them are kinyanim that are what? That are non-meshicha. It's either chalipin or money. They're both kinyan. They're making coalition against meshicha. Ketzad. Everything will be clear now. Please stop the phone. Ketzad. Listen to this. Now, it's a little bit tricky. Basically, I'll tell you what's going on here because I see you confused. He's going to interpret that switching part of the chamor in a way that is not chalipin. Why is Rav Nachman attacked? Rav Nachman! How can Rav Nachman tell me what? That chalipin doesn't work with peiros, with animals? The Mishnah said that I switched par b'chamor. Rav Nachman's job now will be to reinterpret the scene of switching par b'chamor. Yes, there was a swap, but it's not a halachic chalipin, it's a different kinyan. And I'll tell you now, it's kinyan kesef. Whoa. Let me explain. Ketzad. Hechlif dmei shor beporo or dmei chamor beshor. Oh, okay. I switched the cow with the donkey indirectly. Ever flew to America through Europe? Ha ha ha. In other words, there is something in the middle called money between the por and the chamor. And let me explain how it works. It's very complicated, but for you, I'll make it very, very simple. Because really, there's a lot of information in Rishonim, Achronim. It can really be explained very easily if you just listen to me. Basically, it's like there are two. I'm choosing one way now. I have this, I have my eyes on your beautiful, beautiful shore. I have a field, and your shore is going to work just for me. Okay, Seder? Okay, how much do you ask? How much does the shore go for? Seriously, no. How much is the shore? 19. Does British people? I don't know how far I'm Seder. 20,000. Seder. Listen, Ellen. So listen. I'm pulling your shore. Okay. I'm pulling your shore to me now. Okay, good, fine. Now I owe you 20,000. I come to you the day later. Ellen, you're a nice guy. We've been knowing each other for many years. I'm strapped for cash, and I don't have 20,000, but I have my cow. Believe me, she is worth 20,000. I have a very, very good cow. I know you like milk in your tea. Oh, tea with milk. She'll give you milk in your tea every day. So now I have my cow. She's worth 20,000 instead of the money. You know how I want to make it work? Please say yes. That's what you're supposed to say in the show. You're a nice guy. Now listen to how it works. And that's a sticky part. The money, you have 20,000 shekels by me. In my wallet, I have a debt for you of 20,000. Whether I have them or not, or maybe I don't want to give them to you. I have 20,000, but I owe it to someone. Let's say I want to buy something. You're being very nice. And you say, listen to this. With those 20,000 that I owe Ellen for the shore that I pulled from him, with that he buys my cow. And that's achlif shor beporo. Or an alternative way would be, there are two ways in Rashi, or we pre-decided, I owe you really 20,000. And before we did the deal, I was honest with you. I said, I'm sorry. Let's decide that I owe you 20,000, but before I pull your shore, the money I owe you, I'll pay you in the form of a cow. So I'm not really switching a cow for a shore. I'm switching what? Money for poro. I owe him money is in the monkey in the middle between the shore and the poro, which means I get your shore, right? I get your shore for money, and it was decided money is what's going to buy it. And with that money, you with the money that I owe you, with the 20,000 shekels now belonging to you, with that now, you buy my cow worth 20,000, and I give you my cow the day later with a big smile. I give you the cow with very good milk worth 20,000, but it's not a direct switch of chalipin. So what kinyan is it? Kesef. Because really, Ellen bought my cow with kesef. Aha. Okay, so Rav Nachman came out with flying colors, and he's such a winner. Rav Nachman says, you're attacking me because I say what? I say that really kinyan chalipin doesn't work with animals. It doesn't. The Mishnah, no. The Mishnah spoke about me buying the shore for money, and then the money became a cow. Switch, magic. Yeah, the transferred to cow. That's where it gets the cow. But really, it's money that was here all along, and he really bought it with money. Guys, are you happy now that the cow is bought with money? I'm not. No, no, it's a sale. It's a sale. No, it's a sale right away. No, it's a sale. No. It's a sale, same amount of money. No. Otherwise, any sale will be sold. Leave that aside. No, you can ask about every sale. No, sold is only when I lend. Losh and lending. Oh, it's not there. No, that's gufa. There's no lending. It's a sale. It's a sale and it's a different item. Once it's a sale and a different item, no problem. The problem is much bigger. What? No, for heaven's sake, no. You're saying you're buying a para for money. You happy? I'm not. What? No, how can you buy metalton? Par is a mobile thing. Par is not a land. How can you buy mobile stuff metalton with money? Why? No, once it was Mashiach, there was. It's not verbal. They did an action. Yeah. No.
Agreement, and it's 20,000 oral agreement of cash. So therefore, once he's taken it, it hasn't sold.
No. They made a verbal agreement. Let's say the second version. You have a good point, but for the first version, no. They actually decided before anything was said. Once you pull the show, I owe you a cow. I owe you 20,000, and those 20,000 will be in the form of a cow. No, then it's good. Because a verbal agreement with an action. The action was your Mashiach. But it's not kinyan Mashiach, because kinyan Mashiach maybe I bought your shore from Mashiach. But Lamaisa, you bought my cow through money. I said, I'm getting the shore, I owe you money, with the money that I owe you, but there was a kinyan. The kinyan was kinyan Mashiach. Now, right, I think answers frag the Gemara, my time at the Rav Nachman. How can Rav Nachman, what's Rav Nachman's reason? Meaning, what's Rav Nachman's reason? How can Rav Nachman live with the fact that we say the taltalin are not acquired through money? Now, you went from the pot to the frying pan. You are very good now that you avoided chalifin. So what's your alternative? To tell me that the cow was really bought with what? With money. Cow for money? That's not halachic. Answers the Gemara. Now we're entering a second machlokes now we're entering another issue. Why is it really that money does not buy you metaltalin? Says the Gemara, before the Gemara, introduction. There's a big machlokes which appears 3 times here and in Kiddushin. Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, always with the machlokes between them, the bar plukta. Machlokes is why isn't it so? Why can't be a Jewish kid like me, lahavdi like Tim McKenzie, give cash and get and acquire the thing? It's so nice and simple. Says Rish Lakish midoraisa. Midoraisa, the Torah decided it's not the right way. I don't know why. And the Torah says, Oy kanon miyad amitecho. Miyad, from the hand, Mashiach. The item has to be bought, be acquired, be taken. Yeah? Okay, that's the Raisa. Why? I don't know. Maybe there are Zerasakosu reasons the Raisa. Rabbi Yochanan says it's the Rabbanon. Rabbi Yochanan says, Midoraisa, money does buy you what you want. Yes. Money cannot buy you love. Money can buy you metaltalin, according to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbanon made the Gzera. Rabbanon made a rabbinical decree saying that the Rabbanon, you cannot have the money buy you mobile items, movable things. And the question is why? And I'll tell you already now why. I'll tell you now. I'm spoiling this today. The reason is like this. Think about that. Let's say the seller has very nice, a whole ton of grains. It's always grains that we sell. He wants to sell them to who? Of course, to Shimele. Now, Shimele gave him cash. If we say, and where are the grains? They're still by Reuven, and he's not a shomer. He's not a shomer. As Tzvi said yesterday, I'm translating to Hebrew, the seller is not a friar. He's not a shomer. It's still stored in his house. Okay, so the grains, had we said that once Shimon gave the cash to Reuven, the grains belong already to the buyer, to Shimon, what would be if there's fire starting, chas v'shalom, in the house or near the house of the seller, who is now storing the grains that already belong to the buyer? the seller would turn to the other side. It's not a dangerous fire. He's in the middle of learning, middle of watching YouTube, whatever he does. He's in bed, closing. Fire. I have my $10,000 in my pocket, actually in my bank account. And the fact that his grains are being burned, I feel so bad. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to come to him with the paste. It's not so sorry. He has no interest in saving that, right? So the poor buyer would lose. Masha'enken, if we say that really the money did not yet acquire the chitim, then the seller, who's now the so-called shomer, not at least who now is storing it, would run to save them. Why? Because now, if the money is in the pocket of the seller, but it's not yet a done deal, then what? Then once they're burnt, what's going to be? Well, he still has to provide him with new chitim, because the sale is not yet a sale, or give back the money. So they will give him the incentive to really save the chitim. That's Rabbi Yochanan's reason. You can think about it more, but that's what we say. Answers the Gemara. Back to square one. Why did Rav Nachman Keilu spoke against the rule of what? Of money doesn't buy metaltalin? Answers Gemara, Sover like Rabbi Yochanan. Because Rav Nachman believes like Rabbi Yochanan, thinks like Rabbi Yochanan, the Omar. Says Rabbi Yochanan, Dvar Torah, Midoraisa Mois Koinos. Midoraisa money can and should and yes buys you the metaltalin. Why did Chachamim say that you have to have a physical meshicha of the chitim out of the house and the potential danger of the seller? Zera, he may tell him, your chitim were burnt in aliyah, and I'm so sorry, but the money is mine and it's yours. It's your chitim, not my price, and they burnt. I'm so sorry. That's why Dafka made sure that it's out of his house, right, and no cash in his pocket. I saw, how does that help? Continues Rabbi Nachman. Milsa de shchicha gazu berabanon, milsa de loy shchicha lo gazu berabanon. Famous rule. Rabbanon are only goyzer the gzera, their decrees, their rules, only when things are common, things that happen commonly, things that happen all the time. Yeah, and therefore, milsa de shchicha, regular kinyan kesef. Kinyan kesef is extremely common, right? By goyim, or today by Jews also. How do you acquire? By money. Once the cash is there, then it's yours, right? So because it's very, very common to buy with regular money, mimela that kinyan Rabban made gzera, stop right there. We don't like this money kinyanim. The person receives money with no responsibility whatsoever, and the thing may burn, may damage, and there is no accountability. Stop that balagan. Back to our Mishnah where Rav Nachman spoke, you guys also raised an eyebrow. Why? Because the mice, it's a very weird kind of kinyan, right? In other words, the money that I owe you acquires you my cow. It's not a normal money. It's more like I'm giving a debt, giving up a debt for another item. It's not a very normal thing. It's not how you normal. You don't go to Osher Ad and tell the lady in the cashier. It's not the normal way. If it's not the normal way, Mimele Hirabana did not make the Gzera, and here money does buy the animal. Very nice. Now, opa. So let's write a chart in our minds. So far, so good. One way of learning the Mishnah is what we're talking here about: money acquiring, right? True. And it's money that acquires. The other way is saying what? It's items that acquire. Now, both of them, though, both opinions agree, and that makes it actually simpler for us, that the second part of the Mishnah clearly spoke about what? About animal being switched. However, how does that work? One opinion believes that what? That it's animals themselves that are chalifin, right? The Mishnah spoke about money being chalifin and animals being chalifin. And yes, an animal can be chalifin. Who believes in that? Rav Sheshes. Very good. An animal can be a chalifin item. Now Rav Nachman says, no. Animals cannot be chalifin. So he has to interpret the sefer of Mishnah as what? As kesef. Really, it's bull for money for cow. And that's how it works. No. You don't know where we are now. Now back to Rish Lakish. We're going to have a chart today. According to Rish Lakish, now we are putting the focus on Rish Lakish. He says Meshicha mufreshes min haTorah. Rish Lakish believes mideoraisa Meshicha works only Meshicha, no money. If you want to get metaltalin, pull it in, pull it out, pull it. You can't just get the cash midoraisa. How is it going to manage with our Mishnah, with the sefer of the Mishnah who spoke about animals? Mitatzak Rav Sheshes. Now we're going backwards. Reish Lakish believes what? That really money can never buy animals. So how do you switch the donkey for the car or the car for the bull? Very easy. Like Rav Sheshes, that it's chalifin and metal and animals do peri do metaltalin. Very good. Peri do chalifin. Peri do chalifin. Very good. I'm out of the line of fire. Who Reish Lakish? Who spoke about Kinyan Kesef? Kinyan Kesef never works for animals. It's Mashiach works for animals. So my friend is Rav Sheshes. So Rav Sheshes and Reish Lakish have to create a team. But if Reish Lakish believes like Rav Nachman, the Omer Peri loy avdi chalipin umatbea loy kani. If Reish Lakish would have believed who Rav Nachman, in the other machlokas who Rav Nachman that says Peri or animals cannot be chalipin, and also money doesn't buy, which is Reish Lakish, how can he explain the Mishnah? Al kochach Rav Sheshes mitaretzlo. Very good. Reish Lakish is forced to believe Rav Sheshes. Again, don't get confused. There are two separate machlokas in here, and we are playing around between them. There's a Rabbi Yochanan versus Reish Lakish. How bad is it to be koine animals or anything metaltalin with money? Rabbi Yochanan says, I'm flexible. He could say, could be flexible. In other words, it's the Rabbanan. Sometimes Rabbanan say, if it's a weird kind of kinyan, we turn a blind eye, we not goes there. So very good. Rabbi Yochanan could explain the Mishnah like who? Like anybody, even like the one who says that it's kinyan kesef, which is Rav Nachman. Now, the other machloekes is Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes. They argue regarding what? Argue regarding when it comes to peri, animals, foods, stuff like that, is there kinyan chalipin, yes or no? Okay, and the question is, are the two machloekes are misyachis to each other? I think tomorrow I'll give another sikum at the beginning of the shiur. We'll again, chart out exactly how different opinions fit in. I can repeat it again now if you want, but I'm being nice to you and I'm answering your question. I hope, I'm just repeating one thing which I'm not sure is clear. And again. No, let me. I pulled an ox of someone because I want the ox. He wants 20,000 shekels. But he's being nice, and at some point he says, you know what, Akiva, you don't have 20,000 in the bank. Okay, I will, instead of that, get your 20,000 shekels prized cow. Now, how does that work? We say, okay, so the 20,000 shekels that are in my pocket but belonging to you, because they're owed to you because I have your shore, I'm makne with this money, 20,000, I makne you my cow that's in the cow shed. The 20,000 shekels are going to eat pizza with my family and buy something, and the cow belongs to you. Even before the cow came to your hands, the cow is yours. And again, achrayus, if the cow dies of a heart attack the morning later, then I don't owe you anything. The cow is yours because kinyan kesef doesn't have to be in your possession. If you buy land in America for money, the land is in America, you're here, it's fine. If kinyan kesef works for metaltalin, which is very, very unique, and it's the only case we see, then it doesn't have to be in your domain physically. It's yours by me. It's stored by you, by me for you. It's your cow now for the 20,000. It's in my cow shed in the kibbutz, and it belongs to you. People, by the way, have that all the time. They have horses belonging to them. You think in the house in Tzfon Tel Aviv, the horse belongs to them, and it's in a moshav. I know people like that. What? Not consolation. No consolation. According to one version, it was pre-planned, the whole thing. According to the other one, it was decided at some point nothing was canceled. They decided that at some point that instead of giving 20,000 cash, with those 20,000, I'll be koine or makne the cow, and the cow will be the mode of payment. But there's no cancellation. Yes, that's the whole board. Yes, because if it's cow to thing, cow to cow, then Rab Nachman says no way because peri not koine chalipin. That's a vort. Yes, but that's real kinyan kesef. Exactly. Oh, that's why it's a weird thing. It's like cash in the air. It's like today they do. Have a good day. Thank you.